Hi, everyone. So welcome to week 3 of the Deep Dive Detox. And so we're not long now in the lead up to Solstice, the 21st of December. And this week's theme is really about the fluidity, the flow, the movement. And the download I got this morning was the movement with grace. And so week 1 was really about the shaking up. And I really wanted you to be really mindful of the emotions, the triggers, the thoughts, everything that's kind of been brewing for some time now, given this great cosmic reset. And week 2 was really about that contemplation, the art of pause. We looked at breath, and we looked at, some sound therapies and things like that to really enable you to sit and really, I guess, not be so quick to fill the space. And that's been a huge lesson of mine throughout my lifetime, is once I cleanse and clear everything out, it's like, okay, there's a void there. And it's like I was so quick to fill the space. Even things with like possessions, like with sell a car and then look for another car. And just I'm always kind of in the past been filling the space with stuff, release some of the clothing and then fill it back up. And it just seemed to be a consistent pattern. And so I really wanted to invite people to shift up and reset those neural pathways and take the time to contemplate. And so I hope you've done that. And I also hope that you're working really well through the frequency therapy and the cleanse programs, and really tuning into what your body needs right now. And for those who've got extra support, the zeolites and the greens, which we'll talk a little bit more about. So that's week 3's theme. And we've had some very significant events astrologically. And in week 1, I wanted inviting you to look up, look at the skies, look at the magic that's happening around you, and just take time to have a look at what nature's doing. So Amelia's just going to talk to us about the full lunar eclipse, which is happening now in the USA, and some of the other events leading up to Solstice.
Thanks, Lee. So this today, if you're in the US, it's the 14th, and it's a new moon, full solar eclipse. So, and it's in Sagittarius, and it's activating the South Node, which is in Sagittarius. So what does that mean practically? What that means is, as the Earth moves over the sun, the moon, it covers the shadow and covers the sun, and so we're getting a period of darkness. And then as we reemerge, it's really moving us into this new kind of activation, this new era. And with Sagittarius is very much about possibilities, but it's also about looking at the laws and what we believe to be as truth. And Sagittarius really looks at information, and what is the information that we've been getting. And what this solar eclipse is really inviting us to do is to look at what we have held as truths in the past, and perhaps what worked for us and what doesn't work, and perhaps that the things that were told to us as truths aren't really truths at all. And it's really a time for us to decide what is our truth, and that anything is possible in this age that we're moving into, the age of Aquarius, where it's really about letting go of the old structures. And so as we're moving into week 3, it's about fluidity, as Lee was saying. And I think it's really about how to move with grace and fluid into the next movement, and letting go those structures that we've talked about, and letting go, and you've contemplated, and now you're ready to hold the new truths. And it's really about sitting in contemplation that we've been doing, and asking ourselves, what is that new truth? And then moving our body, moving the energy as we go through the week, and really look at like, what does that mean? And with a south node is all about karma. A lot of people have heard about north nodes, and then there's south nodes. The north node is really about visioning forward. South node is looking at our past and what's karmic for us. So this solstice activation is looking at the karmic of the past, and what that has been for us. It's the first time we've had this event since 1402. So it's been in the making for quite some time. And then we're moving into Saturn and Jupiter conjunct, as we've talked a little bit about what that's going to mean. And so I think this week, what I invite you in to do is really moving into our own internal dialogue. And as we flow with life, flow with your own beat and flow with your own compass, if you will, and let go of what everyone else is telling you is truth and listen to what is your truth. And it's really a pivotal time to be able to do that as we move into the solstice.
Love this fascinating stuff. And it was interesting that both of us, our north nodes, are in.
I know, that was so wild. I was like, no wonder. Yeah, we're definitely, Sagittarius is very much about truth seeking and very much about pioneering and moving into, what is possible. And I always wondered why. I always thought one of my mantras has always been anything is possible. And, as I've been learning about astrology and about north nodes and what have you, now I understand. So I have my sun is in Sagittarius and my north node, so it's quite the whammy this week for me as well. So it'll be fun. It'll be, and I also encourage, as we're talking about this, and the energies are going to get fairly intense for a lot of people, and as you've been talking about fluid and movement, and whether you're walking, taking a walk, or you're doing some Tai Chi, or you're just sitting and breathing to move that energy and flowing, that letting all the stuff and the activity around you, just let it move, like do your best to not get entangled into that energy and allow yourself to just disentangle from the quantum fields and just say, what is playing out is supposed to play out. And you have your role to play and you get to decide what that role is. And regardless of what else is going on around you. So it's your decision and it's your choice.
Yeah, it's really interesting that, we're getting sort of different feedback on where people are at. And I think this community, I think it's really important. We have a responsibility to not turn a blind eye and just kind of lean into these energies. And I just love that so many people are coming forward to be part of this free program. But also on a holistic level, there's so many people sort of stepping forward, because you can't get this wrong. All you can do is just lead and show up and just lean in. And I get that some people sort of wanted to stay in their bubble because it's fairly safe. The great thing is that it's actually a world of abundance that awaits. It's actually some magic that awaits through this kind of intense energies. And it was really interesting over the full lunar eclipse here in Australia. The weather was crazy. I've never seen it. You couldn't even see like a meter ahead. Like it was just, and the surf was just like, I could watch it and I was just like, wow, it's just going to burst its banks. Like and this morning the foam was like right up to the edge. So I just think it's really important that we're paying attention to all this, because it's like going, hey, it's coming. It's really coming. So it's about seeing the positive. And if we bring each other through, and you're running your frequency therapy and you're awakening the cells, you're lessening that tension that we've had for so long on the cells, that tightness and that rigidity. And I think I speak from experience that I've led a very sort of rigid life. And, I look at people who have that flow and that movement, where we're talking about fluidity, and I admire it. And I'm grateful to see that now. And so when I was tuning in to see what the theme was for this week, I was thinking, well, I just really want to move. I really just want to like flow. And like over this course of this process, I don't know how it's been for other people, but for me, a lot of emotions have come up, a lot of memories have come up, a lot of dreams, and it's like, wow, I used to think that way. Like, wow, like I acted that way or I responded that way. Wow, that's really interesting. So it's a very sort of higher perspective of like looking down and kind of just acceptance, So in week 1, we talked about Ho'oponopono prayer, and that really works. It's like, forgive yourself for all the stuff that's happened in the past, with a good heart. If you have good intentions, everything everything will be perfect and you'll be looked after. If you're still holding that, underlying sort of manipulation, you've got an ulterior motive, then people can feel it now. So it's just not going to wash. And I just invite people to question everything. So I'll give you a specific example is large corporations that we publish our books on. And the one we know is Amazon. And I said that I was going to start sort of unleashing some truths, and I will do that, not on this call. For those that are interested to want to know what's really going on and just want a bit more detail, or perhaps you just want to have a chit chat with someone who is fully clued up on what's happening in the world events with a sister, you want to have a chat, then we can do that. But I just, I want you to question everything. So the response I'm getting this week is, that's the only one that we know. That's the biggest and the best. And I want you to just really assess. We get to define what is the biggest and best, and we get to define how we want to distribute our written word from this day forward. And so whether you think I'm a conspiracy theorist or not really doesn't matter to me. It's like my role here is to challenge everything with my North Node in Sagittarius. And so the more you get to know yourself, it's, as long as you're very diplomatic, I'm not an activist, so I'm not going to, fight about that. I'm just going to say, perhaps there's another way. Yeah. And so everything that you've done into this moment, just really question, is that going to come forward with you? Is this going to come forward beyond the 21st of December, or even is it let go now? And so things like, so I just want to recap on the Marie Kondo cleansing method. And I mean, it's not even Marie Kondo's. I mean, it's like, it's ours. Like, does it feel good, right? So she was the leader and pioneering the way. And it's like, okay, does it bring me joy? Is it coming with me? So I celebrate the new year with the astrological new year, which is in March. So December 31 December 31 is not my end of year. It's, do you know what I mean? So I don't sort of celebrate on those sort of commercial events. And I feel like you get to decide, when and where. And, even with, children, I get that they're so used to these events because we've been conditioned that these are the events. But it's like, invite the children into the astrological events. And so let's just start doing things a little bit differently now. And just back on the Marie Kondo, so for those who've done the cleansing, I've had some really great feedback on people who have cleared out all the clutter. And you can't hide it in the drawers. Like, that's not going to cut it. You can't hide it behind a closed door. And it's like, go through everything. And the Marie Kondo method is really going by category. So it's like, okay, by clothes, by books, so books are a huge thing for people to let go of, and just think how heavy they are every time you need to relocate. And there is other ways. And it's like, most people say, oh no, that's not me. Because, think about who have we listened to that said, oh, it's really good to have a hard copy book. I mean, is that your truth? I mean, or do you love to feel light? Do you love to have a clean home? Do you love to have resources available? So read the book and then pass it on. Just start questioning everything. Like, I feel like every, like 90% of what we do has been conditioned, and we sort of, the heart stuff is, does it feel good? Like, so many times, like, I'll say something. And so right now, I'll just give you a snapshot of my past 6 months. Like, I've literally let go of everything. So I moved into a fully furnished apartment when we were not able to international travel, and I manifested it. It's everything I desire, and it's peaceful and all those things. The first thing that my mum said to me is, you've got to get a car. And so many people say, oh, I need a car. Now, I actually moved into an area where I don't need a car because I walk everywhere. And actually, that's my desire. My desire is freedom, to be able to just walk everywhere, to not have to worry about parking. And those things are stressful for me. And so I have really had to challenge my own beliefs, because I was like, wow, I actually need a car. Do I need a car? And so I'm actually sort of contemplating that now because I actually want to move. I want to do a tree change and I want to move out a little bit further, and I don't want to see my neighbors. I want enough land or enough trees that I don't see the neighbors. And the first things that people around me are saying, well, how will you be safe? How will you get, move around? Like, and it's bringing up fear in me. And it's like, okay, these are my desires.
Yeah.
And so they can literally stop you in your tracks. So I just want to share that. And if that resonates for anyone who might be going through that, so just be really, especially as we come through into Christmas, where we start to come together in a family union. And yes, all over, it's like family first, but it's like, they're sometimes your biggest triggers is because their belief systems really don't align with what brings you joy and happiness. So I invite you to look at every piece of clothing, and it's like, is it coming with me? Is it my future? Does it spark joy? Now, joy is a different emotion. It's very playful. It's very childlike. It's very innocent. There's not a lot of attachment to it and a lot of memory, sort of memories held with it. So for all those things that you have memory attached to and sentimental value in your keeping, really assess that. Really assess, do you need to keep that? And what is the memory and hold? And is it a memory and a feeling that you'll have forever, or is it something you physically need to keep? I mean, I don't know the answers to that. We're all different, but it's like, I just want to sort of provoke some thought there. I was just going to go in a little bit more on the Feng Shui and some Chinese astrology. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Amelia, is there anything else you want to share on that?
No, the one thing that I really loved about, everything was great. So thank you for sharing that. Is as you were talking about like other people's fear and what it does. So as I was talking before earlier, it's about disentangling. And I really like that is recognizing other people's fear and not taking that on as your own. So that was I love that. So just to remember that and it's often in a different way. We don't see it as that, right? Because they're just innocent questions like, well, I remember traveling to Costa Rica and I was helping them open up a resort and some people were like, we need a safe. And I'm like, you're out in the middle of the Costa Rica jungle. Like, why did we, and we had this really big conversation about like this need to have a safe to keep your passport safe. And I was like, we're in the middle of the Costa Rica jungle. Like, what are we afraid of? And so it was like, it just brought to mind that it's like those other people's ideas that they need, which it's not right or wrong. It's just their needs and their beliefs, but you don't need to take that on. And, like you said, live your truth and live it the way you want and is in your desire and, letting go of all of that. So it just brought to mind that.
Yeah, I never use the safes, but it's like, it is the news and the propaganda that's telling us that Costa Rica is not safe in the jungle, so it's, like they're real fears, real safe.
And I think it's as safe as you, it's like, that's another mindset, right? It's like, people always say, well, you go to France and, the French are mean and they hate Americans. Well, they aren't. They're like one of the loveliest people I've ever met. And so are like the people in Fiji. And it's like, if you go into a situation like with that attitude, that's what you're going to receive. That's the way energetic, reciprocation happens. It's like, yeah, if you're going to go into something and sure, is there parts that I'm sure are not quite as safe as others? Absolutely. I don't want to be fully naive, but if you're smart, you can travel and you can do the things in your life that if you want to go and live in the outback, you'll be okay as long as you have a mindset that you're going to be okay, because that's the energy that you're going to attract.
Make requests. So I've had to, make requests for safe, secure. But this is what I desire. I desire not seeing the neighbors. I desire the space and the lightness and the air. And the list is huge. Like the requirements are huge.
Yeah.
And I will not stop until, I meet it. Or if it feels joy and it hasn't met one of the criterion, then it is what it is. But it's like you don't need to make compromises on what brings you joy. And
Absolutely.
yeah, awesome conversation. So what I wanted to bring up is, so I haven't done a lot on the feng shui, but feng shui is a huge thing in my life. I lived in Hong Kong for a few years, and I loved the way that they designed their buildings. And I think that, design and eco and in harmony with nature has always been a thing for me in my styling. I feel energy of the land, always quite clever with reaping profit on property without, mind you, being told by real estate agents that you won't get that, and then just jumping 200,000 extra profit, things like that. So it's just always just tune in. Do you have a special talent and a special gift to just know what's going to reap money, because you understand it functionally. You understand supply and demand. You know what people desire, and you know how to create space. And I think the thing with feng shui is that it's really about balancing the elements. So when I walk into a room, I really feel the energy. It either feels really balanced, it feels really open, it feels very light and breezy, and expansive, or I contract. And so in your environments, you want to create obviously the expansive vibe, and that means bringing in all the different elements. And we did the 5 element theory, and we have an underlying constitution. And many people will tell you that you have to do a full naturopathic exam or whatever, quizzes and all these kinds of things. But I find that people actually answer those with their head. And so in Chinese astrology and philosophy and 5 element theory is that it is the last number of your birth year. It defines your underlying constitution. And so you can just research that. So for example, if mine is wood, and so you can literally Google wood 5 element theory, but make sure it's aligned to 5 element theory, because there's a lot of other philosophies out there, and this is the one that I fully resonate with, and you might find your own. And so with wood, here's some detail on it. So the direction is east. So interesting enough, I've always seemed to live in the east of most countries. It just seems to be the way. And I have been questioning what I am doing in this particular area of Australia, wondering, where's the alignment, and what's my role here? And it always seems to draw me back. And it's only just since I've crossed over into the North Node that I've fully understood what's keeping me here. And I've traveled all around the world, and only just recently I've had this longing to kind of set up a base. And I've had properties all my life, and I've been on the career ladder and had the cars and all that kind of stuff, but it's very different now. And so I've got big dreams to get some land and build eco, which is really interesting, because since I've been learning about my 5 element theory, being wood, everything's starting to fall into place, and it's easier for me to make decisions. And so I feel like the more that you learn about yourself through human design, through 5 element, and through other theories, there's so many out there, find the ones that feel good for you, even NLP. And so the more you learn, I feel like you can make the decisions quicker, and especially in human design, does it feel good? If you're a generator, does it feel good? Yeah, it's a yes. It sparks joy. And I think over the years, I've found, there's been times where I found it really difficult to make decisions. I'm an opportunist, so sometimes there's too many options presented at me. And I think if you can tune into this stuff, it just becomes laser clear on what feels good. And so if any of you out there, are going, how do I really tap into my intuition? Well, it's really knowing thyself, and really appreciating that. And even things like, I've got a community, Digital Intel Women, where really empowering women to tap into their divine intelligence. And we work through things like cryptocurrency and, other sort of digital platforms and other ways to invest. And it's really heavy on the brain. Thank goodness for Healy, because we run our learning programs and it opens up our capacity. It's lessening the tension on the cell. But what I've noticed in that is some of the language, and that is, oh, I'm not very good at this stuff. Oh, my brain doesn't, no, you need to go slow. Or, so it's a lot of, you're actually putting yourself down a lot. And I feel like once I start opening them up to other modalities, other philosophies, and they start to learn a bit about themselves, it's like, oh, I'm actually quite good at this. It's just about positioning yourself and placing yourself and understanding yourself where you thrive, and what brings you most joy. So wood, direction east, color green. And that's been my theme the whole way through. So green and crisp white. And this is really interesting. So speaking with Amelia around branding, is that my branding would have to, without a shadow of a doubt, have some sort of inspiration coming through. If this is what expands me. That's not to say I don't like other colors. Like I love red, and it's not about that. It's like your underlying frameworks that bring you like that solidarity, that foundational work. And season is spring, and shapes tall column, and energy is outward. So for fire, so direction is south, color is red, season is summer, shape is pointed triangular, and energy is upward. And so for earth, direction is midpoint, color is yellow, season is all seasons for the earth. Shape flat and low, and energy horizontal. And you can go into this deeper. So metal, direction is west, color is white. Season fall, shape is round, energy inward. Water, direction is north, color is black, which is interesting. Season is winter, shape is irregular, and energy is downward. So you can go into a bit more detail of what all that means, but it's like this information is so available to you. So I'm using this book that I posted a photo of it. It's quite an oldie, but a goodie. And so in the community, a few people have bought different books. They've gone for a search of 5 element. Amelia, you've bought books, I think. So there's all these different, if you want to learn more about yourself, there's all these sort of resources available to you. So I guess the points from that is that by sharing with you guys, like I've actually learned more about myself. And I think that if your role here is to lead in some way, in some capacity, and to share with others what you know, then I think that, like start following, your path of what feels really good. And then your mission work will start to evolve, like what you're here to do, what you're really here to do. And that's why I want to go to land, is because I want to spend the 3 months sort of really getting laser clear on like what will be my offering, what will be the mission work, and what will be the generator, the income generator. And it will be very unique because it's all the things that I love. And so, if you're in the right heart space and you just want to live your best life and be your best without all the conditioning, and just be fully open to what life is throwing at you, all the good and all the shadow, then there's no competition, there's no manipulation, there's no there's no competition against each other. So we're all going together. And what's really great about Solstice and the energies that we're starting to experience and beyond is all about collective wealth.
Yeah.
And it's like, I've got friends that are, creating farms, vegetable farms. And it's like, how will we live? I think what's really exciting now is that I've always wanted land, but it was very sort of hippie orientated.
Yeah.
It had that real, you couldn't have the luxury and you couldn't have the income if you're going to go and live off the grid. Now I can be like, live off the grid, total luxury, solar, hybrid car, I can do what I want. It's really available to all of you. And you don't have to live in a small space or a confined city. You can live wherever you want. And like many of us have been conditioned that we have to have Wi-Fi, or do we? Or can we drive to a cafe? Or, do we have to be connected in this way? Or are you going to run retreats like face to face? So the whole, everything just gets thrown up in the air now. So the fluidity is the flow of, oh, that's interesting. Wow. Right. That's possible. That's showing up. Yeah. Wow. Okay, cool. So we really get to create. And so the journaling is super, super important right now. journaling every single day, and all the fears. I'm writing out all my fears around, wanting to go out into land. I live in Australia, so, snakes and spiders come into that mix too. And it's like, okay, so what can I do? So screens and, like cleared land, fire comes into the mix as well. All that fear of fire, like it's been quite extreme, the weather conditions, and especially California, like it's known every year, like fires reap through. So these are really real fears, and just write them out. Yeah. And so what if we did get beamed up? Like there's all these rumors about December 21, we're going to get beamed up and all this kind of stuff, like whatever. But what if we could live our best life? And, let's just say December 21 is it. There's this new light energy, and we've, done all the work to make sure that we can hold this energy and not resist it and not contract. We can embrace it and move forward. What if we could have whatever we wanted? Like, what would that be for you? What if money was not a barrier to the good life? Like, if you could step over or step onto the spaceship or whatever you believe in, who knows? But what if you could just cross that bridge, and it really is a collective, collaborative, supportive, abundant life ahead for you? What would change? What would be different? And how would you be talking to yourself? Like, you certainly wouldn't be saying things like, oh gosh, I'm so slow, or I'm not very clever. And you certainly wouldn't be talking to yourself like that for the new age of Aquarius. What else do we want to share?
I don't know, good stuff. I think you've nailed it.
Oh, good. I've never had you speechless before.
I know. I mean, like, literally, I think you did. That was
We're on the same, we're very similar.
Yeah.
We're on the same path, which is really interesting because we're all coming together. So here I am thinking no one thinks like me, but actually there's a lot of people that think like me, which is all of you. And so I just want to remind everyone around what's happening on Thursday. So did I say 9 a.m.? 9 a.m. or 10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yeah, so Melbourne time, 11 a.m. And so it'll be the replay for you, won't it? And so, you'll catch it?
Yeah.
Cool. So that's allow for 1.5 hours for Krista to take us through neuro art. This is totally new concept for me. Being an NLP practitioner, I was just like, oh, this is awesome. So I just researched it. I said to Krista, like, what is this? And she said it's quite, an interesting process where we get to stabilize. So, so there's a lot of wisdom, that comes with being another decade on this planet. And so each, Krista comes with a lot of wisdom. And so I know that I've developed my wisdom over the years. And when I look back, I think, wow. So where she's coming from is that many of us have not stabilized and grounded. And I see this all the time in business. And it's something that I talk about a lot in my mentorship programs around, if you really want to reap that financial flow and to be successful in these online businesses, these network marketing platforms, these affiliate marketing platforms, cryptocurrency, anything like that, where you invest your time and your resources, that you really have to have that strong foundation. And that really is, I've always said, you are the business model. So that strong foundation is you. So Krista's going to be guiding us through the neuro art, where we are building the trunk of stabilization. And then we are going to be flourishing through fruits and flowers and greenery. And you can understand how this process, this artistic creative process, can really rewire the neural pathways. And so I don't know what the outcome is. I'm excited for it. So I invite you all to join us on that. Live is obviously going to be brilliant. And if you can't, we'll drop the replay. What else? So we were going to talk a little bit about zeolites. Amelia, you know quite a lot around that sort of volcanic activity. I was searching my area, and I believe that we do have zeolites, and the area I want to move to, the crystals are dormant, like I can feel the land. So obviously there's work for all of us to do in this particular area. And so I want to create sort of that healing and wellness retreat energetic center. I don't know what it's going to be, but it'll be
brilliant.
interesting to see what brews after this. And so if any of you are brewing ideas, and I know, Amelia, you've shared a few with me as well as what's brewing, by just, focusing on this program and running the, the deep cleanse programs through the frequency, and just awakening the cells to what's possible. They talk about, the DNA activations and things like that. So, that reminds me. So we will be having, so I will be sharing, Glenn Thomas is running some activations over the next week, and he's just with pure heart. And so I thought what we might do in this program is actually leverage his ability to activate on a very grand scale, and hold the light for many of us. So if you're interested in that, I'll drop when he's running those sessions. And obviously December 21, I will be joining his activation. With not keeping December 21 as that's when I'm going to be enlightened.
Yeah.
It's just knowing that something is coming, and I'm doing everything that's possible to release all the crap, and all the conditioning, and so that I'm an open channel for the goodness to come in. Really, that's all it is. And so, yeah, I invite you to jump on those as well. So I'll drop all those. So Zeolites, do you want to share anything with that, or have we done enough?
I think that for me, the Zeolites and the greens especially have been, I have been on a health journey for 5 years, and I have never had a product that has, for lack of a better way to put it, cleaned me out as great as this has been doing. Literally. And the Zeolites, when I was doing research, and I listened to a webinar that actually the CEO, and the great thing about the company and these Zeolites is that they are mined naturally. And so when you're out researching, if you are interested in Zeolites, please reach out to Lee or myself. But it's a structure, it's a crystalline structure. And essentially it's got a positive charge or a negative charge, and water molecules inside. So really it's pulling the heavy metals out of your body, trapping them in their matrix structure, and then eliminating them. So that's in a very simple way what's happening. And they're in tune with the heavy metals in your body. They won't be taking out all the other minerals. It's very specific. And the thing that I found most interesting is that, as we move forward, we are going to more of less carbon-based and more crystalline, and more of this natural way. And so what I found very interesting is that, and combined with the greens, is really helping to release the gunk, and as we're moving forward, as you were saying, as we come up to the 21st, it's not about this potentially, oh my gosh, I'm going to wake up in the next morning and I'm going to be like, oh, it could happen. Wouldn't that be cool? Like you said, we might be on the starship together. Who knows? But I found the Zeolites to be, one of those tools that I found that has helped. And I'm going, actually, I was like, this is the way I am. I'm a science geek, and I've been tracking my blood work since forever. And so I was like, well, I'm going to wait till the end of this cleanse and then go get my heavy metals tested. And I encourage everyone, if they have done that or have not, you can start it now, or you can do it just to look. And because really it looks at heavy metals and how it adjusts the alkalinity of your body, how it really it's almost like heavy metals will suck the energy out of your body. And that's a very kind of strange way to put it, but they do that, and
they hold you down. Well, they're heavy.
Well, they really, they hold you down. They're exactly what they say. Yeah. And a lot of people know about free radicals. Heavy metals are very similar to free radicals. If you have a lot of free radicals floating around your body, it's damaging to your cells. Heavy metals are the same way. They're going to eat up that energy. And so the Zeolites come in, and they kind of, I envision kind of like a Pac-Man. They come in, they attract the heavy metal, they capture it, and then they get released. And the combination of the greens is helping your bowels release it, and your liver release it, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm quite fascinated. And yes, they are mined from volcanic. It's what happens when volcanic magma reaches water, and it's not salt water necessarily. It's going to be pure water. I don't know, not pure water, but you know what I mean.
I'll explain that.
So
That gives me a really good, because I have to say that I don't pick up the technical. I just, usually I don't use products.
yeah,
I'm all about
yeah,
frequency therapy to release and detox. It's the first time for me as well on these greens. Like, I've literally got them here. They're the first time that a product's actually tasted good. And I mean, I've tried all these different nutrition companies and all that kind of stuff, and it's like great products, but it's like there was a time where I just released everything. I was just done with having this and this and got different diets. And now it's just like, okay, so zeolites, we have enough research now. Greens, we know, and Krista also mentioned them to support, to release. So it's just an add-on. And so not everybody needs them, but it's like, especially if you're new to frequency, I would recommend, getting some greens.
I think definitely.
Yeah, and researching the product, because like they don't all do what they say they're going to do.
This is I mean, like I said, I've done greens, I've done just spirulina, and I was getting spirulina fresh from Florida. They were like growing it, right? So it was the good stuff. And I worked in a health nutrition company, and I've done every which way, and I really have never had this much success. And so what I've been doing, as I've been letting go of the other things that I've been doing, because I have the products, because I do have a health issue. So I was like, well, I'm doing this, and I'm like, oh, I finally found it. And then now, so I think that it's really worth looking at I mean, my husband's even willing to like go on them, which is like, that's when it tastes good, when your husband's just like, oh, okay, not too bad. So I encourage everyone to really look into zeolites, and it goes into your cells. So as you said, it's like cleaning out your cell at a cellular level and your DNA. And really, like, I love how you talk about like releasing the tension. I love that, because if you think about it, that's what's happening when there's so much gunk. I mean, if you think about like your body as an engine and a car, and you're running bad oil through it, it's gonna not run as well. It's similar to your cells, and as you're releasing that tension, as you put it, it's similar. That's what the zeolites are doing, because they're taking out some of those negatively charged molecules. So it's great.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. It's the feedback that I've had is that people have more clarity, which is really interesting. And so and these are people that I've been working with for a while, that have been following the frequency therapy for quite some time. And so this has been super fun. So okay, so that's week 3, as in terms of setting the scene. And so just remember that, flow with and movement with grace, with ease. I remember the Marie Kondo, with does it spark joy? And also your decision making, around, really sort of unpacking and just acknowledging what feels good in your space, and the whole Feng Shui thing, like, does it feel expansive? And if your environment doesn't, clean it like full on. And well, there's so much more I can share on that, and I think that's enough for everyone right now. And just reminder that Neuro Art is on Thursday, and if you want the details, it's in the group. And also I'll pop the details for the activations with Glyn Thomas, which will be awesome. And if you need anything, or you've got questions on the Healy frequencies, not sure what to run, remember there's Krista's book as well that's available for sale. It's just $20. And so all the links that you need, if you're in the Telegram thread, just click on media or click on links, and you'll get everything that you need. And Amelia did an awesome breathwork activity as well. We tried to do it with Zoom, and it was just a bit challenging on the sound. So we may record that again. We'll see what happens. But either way, she shared her playlist. So because I was really feeling that music. And so anything that I get a lot out of, then I just share with the community. So so enjoy this week, and please let us know what's coming up for you. And I hope that this conversation has kind of sparked some ideas and some thoughts about, the journaling and the visioning. And if you need any support, you know where to go.